Well, good afternoon, everybody. Today is Sunday, July the 11th, and this is Life Matters. Come on, let's talk about it. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Good evening, depending on where you are viewing, watching, listening. Thank you so much for tuning in today to Life Matters with Michele. I am your host, Michele Irby Johnson, and I am so excited about this platform. You know, this is where we talk about all things African American. We talk about all those things that affect our African American community. And we want to remind you to post your questions so I can field them over to our amazing guest. Today we have with us Miss Reantle Smith. I hope I didn't jack that up too much. And she is going to discuss with us today mental health. Say hello to everyone, sweetie.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Miss Michele, for having me on your show. It's a pleasure to be here today.
Yes, ma'am. Look at that beautiful smile. She is just, look at her. She's just purty. Yes, ma'am. I'm so glad that you said yes. And I'm really excited about today's topic because, you know, in the times in which we live, mental health is a very real thing. Not that it wasn't real in the past, but it's a very real thing that we are contending with today. But before we jump in, let me let everybody know who this amazing guest is. Miss Reantle Smith is a native Philadelphian, a mother, mental health advocate, and a blogger. She attended Pierce College in 2004, where she earned a bachelor's in science and business administration. Her professional career background consists of over 10 years of experience in business management. In 2016, Reantle graduated from Howard University with a master's in social work, and her career as a licensed social worker began shortly thereafter. She is passionate about helping underserved minority populations overcome trauma, homelessness, mental health, and substance abuse challenges. I love it. She currently works for the Department of Human Services in the District of Columbia, addressing the housing and employment needs of low-income family. She is also the founder of Endure to Empower, a blog that is tailored to increase awareness about mental health, trauma recovery, and self-care. She also facilitates mental wellness workshops and sister empowerment circles for women of color. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I tell you, grabbed me with a lot of that because you know I have my second master's is in counseling, and so it's in crisis trauma response. And so I love when people say they're talking about trauma and all of that. So I was like, yes, let's do it. Let's do it. But I'm so excited to have you at. So let's back up a little bit and let's find out what is a working definition of mental health. Because like I said, a lot of people don't really know what it means. They think it's one thing, but it's actually another. So give us a working definition that the average person could understand.
Okay, so as how I explain mental health to my clients, because most commonly, there's a misconception when it comes to mental health. You know, there's so many labels in our society. If someone has a mental health disorder, they're crazy, insane, or something like that. So when I explain mental health, that is to help to remove the stigma and the misconceptions around it. So mental health can be triggered or developed from a number of things. It could be genetic, it can be environmental, it can be situational, where someone can be going through a breakup or something like that, and then have experienced psychological distress. And in some cases, it could be hormonal, it could be imbalances in the body. So when we talk about mental health, we're talking about the mind and how the mind is functioning. So when we, mental health, sometimes people would just think that it's just a thing of your mind. It's like they don't put mind and brain. It's kind of like when we're talking about the brain and the mind is interchangeable, because if the brain is not functioning well because of a chemical imbalance or because of a stressor, then that will cause what we call, what we say mental health challenges or a lack of mental health functioning. So that is what mental health is. It is just a disruption in your mental functioning, or something that will cause a chemical imbalance that will impact your overall functioning, or impact your life in areas of employment, family, or just your personal life. So that's pretty much what mental health is.
Well, thank you so much, because like you said, people don't, they think when you say mental health, it automatically means crazy, but it does not. Sometimes, more times than not, before people go over the edge because they've been pushed there and given medications or whatever that really disrupts them chemically. Sometimes it's really just a shift or a different dynamic of their ability to cope
Absolutely.
with life. And so as a result of that, they fall into various diverse places, if you will, in their mind that, like you said, affects every area of their life. And so I'm glad that you were able to break it down in its simplistic form about the mind and the brain being used interchangeably, and the imbalances that happen. And sometimes, your brain misfires, and then you have that trauma center, that trauma triangle that gets affected by certain things that people just don't know how to recover from. Because sometimes, and I'm going to say this openly, sometimes mental health or mental illness is actually a protective mechanism that people fall into in order to keep them from being further traumatized. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, yes, yes. So let's start with you. What was it that made you want to become a social worker? I like background. What was it?
Well, it's been a common theme in my life. A common theme. It actually started in my childhood home. My mom, she wasn't like, she didn't go to school for social work, but she did a lot of ministry work where she helped others. And I saw that growing up, and it just became ingrained in me that this is what I wanted to do. But it was also just a common theme in my life of people being able to come to me and feel comfortable, just opening up to me about maybe their life challenges or a crisis that they may be going through. And it wasn't until later in my life, while I was working at Temple University, as a matter of fact, that it was a calling for me. It was just second nature. It was something that was very natural for me to be able to sit, listen, empower, and educate other people. So with that said, it was like I went into prayer, and I felt the urging. I felt the urge, and I felt the press. As years went on, I kept saying, no, this is not what I want to do. But I kept feeling that press. And as soon as I said yes to that, that's when it was affirmed to me that that was not only my ministry, but that was my professional calling, to say. Because in the field of social work, this is something that you have to be called to.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be called to the field of social work, because you're giving so much of yourself to other people. You have to be able to empathize and listen and support and be present. And that, and I was like, wow, that's a lot of responsibility. But I understood that that was what my ministry entailed, even from a young age. So I began to just say yes to it. And as I said yes, it over time, it was just affirmed that I should become a social worker so that I can help others, live their best, just live healthier and more meaningful lives.
Well, that is beautiful, and I'm glad that you said that it's a calling. Everybody cannot work in social work. Everybody is not called to human services, whether it's social work, whether it's counseling, whether it's ministry, like in a pastoral role or something like that. Everybody's not called to that. And when you feel that pull and you feel that urging, God equips you with what you need to make sure that you're able to handle all the pressures. Because as a social worker, you have people that come at you, they'll get mad at you for their life. They'll get mad at you for, the resources that aren't there. They'll take it out on you. And then you, as a social worker, become just like counselors. We become sponges and we take in the spirit of the person. And I don't want to get too deep with it. We take in the spirit of the person and we carry that with us all day, all week or all month, until we're able to help them to dissolve, absolve, release themselves from whatever it is that's ailing them, from various perspectives of life. And so I'm grateful that you answered the call, because I can tell from your spirit, because I can pick up on your spirit that you are very passionate about what you do, and you're a compassionate person who really seeks to understand and to know, so that you'll know how to help your clients to live their best life, to move forward beyond their mental capacity, even if that's their life's journey. You help them to navigate it. That's what I feel in my spirit. And so I just thank you so much for having that love and to operate in this field, because everybody is not equipped and, or dare I say, anointed to do that. And that just means empowered to do that. Because, folks be like, well, is this the church show? It's my show, so I can say what I want. So you are empowered to do what you do. So thank you so much, ma'am. We have some questions here. What are some components of mental health?
What are some components of mental health? So mental health comprises of, because we are, as human beings, we are made of mind, body, and spirit. So in order for us to fully be optimal in our function in life, we have to first function on our mind. And once our mind is functioning well, then we can then work on the body. And then from the body, we work on the spirit. And when it all works together, that is what helps us to be able to thrive and be a healthier version of ourselves. So when people ask me, what are the components of mental health? I usually will break it down that way: mind, body, and spirit. But if we want to get deeper into the components, what causes mental health, what triggers mental health, we have to look at the economy. We have to look at one's environment. We have to look at one's upbringing. So in social work, we do something called a psychosocial assessment. And that looks at all areas of life. So we look at a person's spiritual connection. So we look at spirituality, we look at environment, we look at system of supports. We look at, and in some cases, we actually look at physical components of the person, in which we will then ask, the clients to go be seen by a doctor just to rule out any medical conditions and to see if there's anything underlying. So we look at genetics, because there's also a biological and genetic aspect to mental health as well. And this is what some people, this is what a lot of people do not understand, that mental health can run in one's family. And then there is also a physical aspect where a person's thyroid could be under functioning, or they could have diabetes and not know it, or they may not be exercising very well, and they could be one of those people that really their body just holds a lot of stress. And in order for that stress, they don't have an outlet. So it manifests in the form of depression and anxiety and other issues like that. So mental health is more than just the mind itself. It's about looking at your internal self, and also the external factors that could be affecting your mental health.
That's good. That's some good stuff because, as we said at the top of the hour, that people were, they typically say if you say mental health, it automatically strikes them as the person is crazy, but um, that's not what it's all about. And until you open your mind, and that's a closed mind that automatically thinks that a person is, crazy or whatever. But until you open your mind to understand that it's a mind, body, heart, spirit connection, it's all intertwined. It's not something that is, they're not silos. They all work in conjunction with one another. And then when one of them is off kilter more than the rest, then it can affect the rest. And so when the mind is not going in the same direction, if you will, the body and everything will go with it. And so I'm glad that you clarified that because people need to understand what that means. So, how do we seek to address some of the stigmas? Because we know in the African American community in particular, I can speak to this, that we have a stigma about, laying on the proverbial couch of either a social worker or a counselor, because we were told back then, way back then, I'm older than you are, I'm sure, that we don't tell our business. We don't share what's going on in our family with somebody that's a stranger. How do we attack the stigma of mental health in the African American community, wherein we feel safe enough to divulge when we feel off kilter, when we feel like something's just not right, something a step beyond depression or a step beyond anxiety? Talk to us about that.
Okay, so we have to understand that there is a historical aspect to the stigma in our communities as it pertains to mental health. There is a psychological conditioning that we are to keep silent, and suffer through whatever we are going through. So this is why we suffer without getting help. We keep our stress, our anger, our trauma behind closed doors because we don't feel vulnerable. Vulnerability is one thing. That's another aspect. We have not been conditioned to be vulnerable and transparent. And that just goes back to, slavery. It goes back really far. And so there is like that psychological conditioning has taught us down generations from generations that we are unable to talk about our mental health because out of the fear of being labeled, out of the fear of being ostracized, out of the fear of being weak, because us, Black people, we are taught that if we don't talk about or we don't show or verbalize our emotions, then we are considered strong. But it's actually strong. It says a lot about you to seek help.
Yeah.
Because when one does not seek help, it affects a whole community. It affects whole families. When people do not seek help, there's a cross generational effect when people do not seek help. And I explain that a lot because let's just say you had a grandmother who went through severe trauma, and that trauma then transfers down to the generations after her, and they begin to feel that mental anguish of that unaddressed trauma from previous generations. It goes from one person to another person. So it's the same in our communities. If one person is not addressing their mental health, another person could be affected by it. This is why we are seeing the outbreak of violence and microaggressions in our communities. And it's almost like the soda bottle mentality, where if you keep it closed and you shake it up, what's going to happen when you open it? It's going to fizzle over. And this is what we're seeing in our communities because even like I was reading a book that was talking about Jim Crow and the slavery and this and that, and we were not allowed to talk about it. I mean, years later, there's a lot of things that have not been talked about or addressed. We have not been able to advocate for ourselves or speak out. So we had to keep those things bottled up. And what's happening is that during the pandemic, which is trauma in itself, and other things that's going on in our community, it was just really compounded and really packed down really deep to the point that what happened, it began to fizzle out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what I tell my clients all the time is hurt people hurt people.
Yeah.
We really have to understand that also as that relates to mental health. If you're hurting mentally or emotionally or psychologically or any way, shape, or form, you could be unintentionally or subconsciously affecting others around you. And what happens is that we don't live in a vacuum. So if you're affecting those around you, it's not just your immediate household, it's the people that you interact with on the outside of your home. Absolutely. And then those people take that hurt home to their families, and then it just keeps flourishing. So rather than not address and suppress, we need to address and heal. We have never been taught to heal. We have always lived in this oppressed society. And we can't just think of oppressed on an economical level. We got to think about oppression on a mental health level. And so when we break out of that oppression, that will cause us to be even more empowered as people of color.
That is amazing. I tell you, I wish I could go. Well, I'm gonna have to go back and transcribe this because that was a great explanation, and I love the fact that you touched on the fact that what grandma and them or what the historical context does. And so when we're told not to talk about it, that then creates some of the health issues that we're dealing with. So when you hold in something that's psychological or mental or emotional, you then have all of these somatic symptoms. You have the high blood pressure, and you have the diabetes, and then you have the heart disease. And I mean, outside of us eating, but sometimes eating is an actual symptom of the problem of something that you're holding in. So everything's interconnected. There's intersectionality with all of these different things. And particularly in our community, because we don't talk about it, we feed it, we shop it, we sex it, we do all of these different things to try to cover them up, make them pretty. We put on some eyelashes, we put on some hair, I'm not putting none on, we do all of these different things to cover up the things that we've been told to suppress. And it's creating a whole different cycle of physical challenges. And so I'm so glad you talked about taking the bottle cap off, because at some point that bottle is going to get shook so much. It's not just going to fizzle over. It's literally going to explode. Can you tell us what some of the warning signs are of somebody who may be in a mental health crisis, or somebody who may be teetering on the edge of, a mental health diagnosis or manifestation? Can you give us just a few warning signs of what that looks like?
Yes. So some of the warning signs will be sleep disturbances, sleeping too much or sleeping very little, feeling anxious and nervous on key, paranoia, feeling tearful or a chronic feeling of sadness, a lack of satisfaction or the lack of motivation to participate in things that you once enjoyed. Another would be like you explained, the semantic symptoms. If you're having chronic headaches, sweaty palms, hot flashes, even. Feeling like you're going to faint. Yeah. Heart racing, heart palpitations, overeating or undereating. So changes in appetite, nightmares.
Wow. And the list goes on and on and on. And so when we think about that, and if whoever's watching, whoever's listening, and you have someone that's around you and they have started to express some of these things, it might, prompt a conversation. And it's not to say, I think you need mental health. That's not how you address it. You have to find a way to package it so that you're not scaring them, offending them, putting them on alert to feel like something is wrong with them when it really may not be, but these are just some things that could literally, like you said, compound and become a mental health crisis if they're not dealt with on the lower level, on the foundational level. And I think we as a people, we wait until we get 10 things deep before we realize, oh my God, I think I need to go talk to somebody. Whereas when you've been depressed for 3 months, you don't talk to somebody. You wait until you've been depressed for 5 years. You have an eating disorder. You're 600 pounds over. Your heart doesn't work. Your this doesn't work. Then you want to go and ask somebody, is something wrong? And I think we do a terrible job. And I'm just saying, we as a people do a terrible job. And I'll say men in particular, because men just don't like to go to the doctor anyway. But I think we do it's a challenge for us. I'll say it that way, for us to take care of ourselves. And you and I both know, as those who are nurturers, those of us who like to take care of other people, we don't do the self-care. So we don't even notice our own symptoms.
Self-care, yep, that's a big one. That's a big one.
We don't notice our own symptoms. Like, I'll tell my husband in a minute, I'm like, look, I'm feeling a little anxious. I have a little anxiety because depression runs in my family. It's historical. It just runs in my family. And so years ago, and I'm just giving you a little snippet of this, back in 2002, 2003, I was depressed to the point that I just didn't want to be here anymore. And that's just real. And so I was going to the doctor, about, now they had me on pills to go to sleep, pills to go get up, and all of this different stuff. And then I met with somebody, and then they asked me a very important question. What do you feel before you have an episode? So now I know what it is. I call it syncing. That's just my terminology. And most people look at me as like, how in the world are you depressed? You don't even look like you're depressed. You don't even look like that would be something that you would struggle with. It runs in my family. We have schizophrenia. We have all of these different things. And so I now know how to catch when the syncing comes. Whereas before, I didn't know what it was, and it just hit me like a ton of bricks. And I think we need to learn to pay more attention, or better attention, to ourselves, rather than pushing it to the side and saying, oh, it's just a phase, or it's just something I'm going through. Because like you said, hurt people, and not intentionally, but because we don't know how to deal with what's going on internally, it bleeds out externally on everything and everyone around us. My goodness.
That's deep.
We have another question. It says, what are some barriers that prevent African Americans from seeking mental health services? Now, this is a big one. This is a good one.
That's a big one to unpack.
I'm gonna lean back on that one because I can think of some. I'm gonna do just like this.
Well, okay. So from what I hear from my clients is that the clinicians that they're seeing is not clinicians of color. So when you seek help, you want your therapist to be relatable, right? And you want someone who looks like you. So one of the complaints that I hear is that there is not enough clinicians of color therapists. And not only is there a shortage of clinicians of color, but there is not a lot of education that comes along with the therapy that's being provided.
Psychoeducation.
So let me just give you an example. If I have a client who has bipolar, and I asked, what does bipolar mean to you? They say, I don't know. That's just something that I have. That's just something the doctor told me I have. So it's just like, and then they were like, well, I got this medication. They don't even know the medication. They don't know the side effects. They don't know anything. They just know that this is what a doctor told me, and this is what I need to take. And I know that the medication don't make me feel good. So I would empower clients to say, first you have to have a trust relationship. You got to build a rapport. And if it's not a Black clinician, someone that you can relate to. someone you can relate to. It can be pastoral counseling. It can be any other form of counseling, but it has to be someone you relate to. You have to have that trust relationship there. So what I'm hearing is that clients are just being diagnosed and medicated and pushed out the front door. So that's one of the major complaints. And then after a while of going from therapist to therapist and not finding one that fits you, you become discouraged. You start thinking that counseling does not work. You start thinking that medication doesn't work and the health system is failing. But then it takes people like myself, social workers like myself, to advocate for those who don't know where to find the help, because there are resources available. So also health insurance is an issue, the access to mental health, the quality of mental health in the African American communities. One concern that I heard a lot during the pandemic is that clients were not able to get appointments because there was a shortage. Clinicians were just overwhelmed, overworked, and they didn't have the availability. Whereas clients were in crisis and needed consistent treatment and therapy. So that was also a concern. Yeah, and just the lack of relatability and the empathy. Like, you don't want to sit in front of a therapist and be judged, because clients are the experts of their own lives.
Yeah.
So what they want is someone to actually listen. They want someone to listen, and they want someone to also clarify what their strengths are. They want someone to look at them and say, this is what your strength is, instead of focusing on the weaknesses, telling them what they have, making them feel inadequate because of what they have.
Yeah.
And telling them that they need to take this medication, and not arming them or equipping them with the information so that they can take their healthcare needs into their own hands.
You know what? You said you said a number of things that were very key. When I went to therapy back in 2002, whatever year it was, I had a Caucasian male. And when I sat on his couch, he just looked at me and say, "So what do you need from me?" I said, "Well, I came because, I'm feeling a certain kind of way or whatever." And I tried to explain to him, and he was very curt. He was apathetic, not empathetic. And he had no clue of who was sitting in front of him. And like you said, it is important to have people who look like you, who can relate to you, somebody, and it's not a race thing, but culturally, you need somebody who can understand what it means when you say, you had to take your kids, to grandma's house, and then you had 3 jobs to work. And if you got somebody who's sitting in front of you who's got on red bottoms, and they don't have a clue as to what your struggle is, they're not gonna be able to relate to when you say, "I'm just stressed out." And they say, "Well, you can do this." "Yeah, but you got a nanny. I don't." "You can do this." "Oh, but you got, you know what I mean?" And so that relatability is so key and so important. And I never built a rapport with this guy. I went to see him 2 or 3 times, and I stopped because and when they called and asked me why I didn't come back, I said, that man didn't care about me. I said it just like that. They were like, "What do you mean?" I said, "He didn't care about me." I said, "He didn't ask me anything that was noteworthy to dig into me to find out what was going on." I said, and so I was offended, and I didn't want to come back. Right. And then they prescribed me the sleeping pills, and the pills that make me go up. So I felt like I was this robot going up and down on all these pills. But there was something else you said, Reantle, that really struck me when you talked about the medications and the example that you provided about, they're saying that I have bipolar and this is the medicine. But what they don't understand is all of these medications don't work the same biologically or chemically. So something that you may give a Caucasian woman does not work the same way in an African American woman, because her genetics are different. So you may have an adverse effect wherein it'll push her further into the mental health pool as opposed to pulling her out. And so that psychoeducation is so important, because we are feeding people pills because we think just give them a pill, give them a placebo, give them something to tell them it's going to work. It doesn't work because chemically it doesn't work for that person's body. What you give to an Indian person may not work the same as you give to a Hispanic person. And so you have to understand biological makeup before you start putting medications into people's bodies, because it's not a one size fit all. I'm sorry, I'm feeling passionate because I don't like when they do that, particularly if you have a Caucasian doctor or an Asian doctor who's just very, flippant and just like, well, this is all you need to do. And you haven't taken the time to get to know my culture and understand I can't take that because it's, it's a contraindication against my blood pressure pill, or it's not working well with this. And so they just, so you said that, and I had to write down on this paper so I wouldn't forget.
It is education. Education is key. It really is.
I feel something in my shana now.
Clients be taking medication. Like there's certain medications where you can't eat certain foods. Like, do you have what is it called? Iodine sensitivity. You can't take certain medications with orange juice.
Right.
There's certain medications that you have to take in the morning because you take it at night, it's going to give you weird dreams or it's going to keep you up. It's going to cause
psychosis.
Right. So it's like you just have to take time to educate, or tell clients that they might have to get routine blood tests because this medication can cause high blood pressure, or it can lower your thyroid. It can do something to your adrenal gland. And clients are coming into emergency rooms sick. And the first thing they would say is, I've been taking this medicine for weeks, and I don't think that is ever prudent for any doctor to prescribe medication without telling a client to get a CBC done,
right?
Blood work done, and just knowing their history. Rather than saying, okay, that sounds like you're suffering with bipolar. Let me prescribe this for you.
Yeah.
And that's not always the best recourse.
It's not always the best course. And even though I had a doctor who kept prescribing me iron pills, just kept prescribing me iron pills. Oh, you're very anemic. Your white blood count is this and this, and so, and I don't mind because I can tell it. But they kept doing that, and it was a Caucasian doctor, and it wasn't until I went to a doctor of color who determined that I had something. It's a iron deficiency that nothing is going to fix. This is just what I have. It's just a deficiency. So giving me iron pills for years and years, and I'm like, it's not working. It's not working. I'm still cold. My palms are still white. My eyelids are still, It took a doctor of color to check my CBC, because that was the first thing he did, was he drew my blood, did a panel, and did all the things. He says, this is why the iron is not working. The other doctors never did that. And I have a nursing background, so I understand that. I was like, and I asked him, I said, don't you want to check my iron levels against this? And they were like, no. But this doctor of color about 2 years ago was the one that determined this is what you have. It's an iron deficiency that's genetic. Medicine is not going to fix it.
No. And that goes into another issue of self-medicating. You see it too much. You see a lot of drug use, because clients will much rather use street drugs than the pharmaceutical drugs, because a lot of times the pharmaceutical drugs cause side effects that causes them to have to go on another drug and then another drug. So my clients, a lot of them are truthful and say, Miss Smith, it's so much easier for me to medicate myself with marijuana or take something else, because the pharmaceutical drugs is causing me to be drowsy. It makes me zombie-ish. It takes away from my personality, and I'm not functioning well. Yeah. So then that's when another form of education comes in, at when we talk about taking care of the physical body, and that there is other things that we can do to take care of ourselves, such as changing our diets.
Holistic
approaches, changing the diet and exercising. Do you drink water? Like, do you know what your blood type is? Because you might not be eating according to your blood type.
Exactly.
So putting some preventative measures into play, especially like you said, if you have a background in depression, what are some preventatives that you can put in place that that can, you know, prevent or help you navigate those mental challenges when they present themselves? And one of
Absolutely.
it is the exercising and the deep breathing and the journaling and whatever you need to do. If it's taking hot bubble baths, if it's punching a pillow to get your anger out, do whatever it is that is necessary. But we call those protective factors.
Mm.
Those protective factors will keep you, it will keep those mental issues, those mental symptoms at bay. Not to say that you won't experience them, but you won't experience them to the level as if you didn't have those protective barriers in place.
Absolutely. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, we are talking to none other than Reantle Smith. She is a licensed social worker, and we are talking about mental health today. And we just really wanted to, you know, hone in on the African American experience as it comes to mental health. And you talked a little bit, Reantle, about self-care and self-care, being able to navigate. And so one thing that I do now, I mean, I've never liked exercise unless it didn't feel like exercise, like roller skating or something like that. But what I do now is I walk 7 miles a day, Monday through Friday.
That's good.
And then I watch a sermon while I'm doing it, because I got to get all this together before before I get my day started. But think about some of those, or help us with some of those self-care things that, say, some of our people in our community don't have access to. Maybe there's no gym. Maybe they don't have the money to go to a gym. Even if it's Planet Fitness, they may not have the extra $10 a month. You know, what are some of the things that they can do? You said something about diet, but most of them live in inner cities where there is no grocery store, and the corner store sells high sodium products at a premium price. And when mama goes and shops there, she's bringing home chips and processed foods for the microwave. Talk to us about some of those self-care measures within the context of where the people are. So everybody, again, can't get a gym membership.
Right.
Everybody does not have access to the best of healthcare. Give us some examples that are attainable for people in like the people that you service, the low income, the marginalized, and even some of us who are, you know, we ain't rich. We thank God for the blessings that overflow the way they do, but we ain't rich. But give us some examples of some healthcare that we can do on a budget.
Okay. So some self-care that you can do on a budget, taking a bath, or just putting a cool cloth on your face, just putting water on your face, taking a nap, sleeping.
Yes.
Medicine. I mean, I've learned how to nap with my eyes open. That's how good sleep is.
You be like,
I don't give it up. Now what? Wait a minute, gotta go to sleep.
No, that was me sleep with my eyes open.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Coloring, color book, painting. And you can get some of these items at the dollar store. Getting chalk and just, writing on the pavement, going to the playground, writing on the pavement. You can also, at the dollar store, you can get paper, just regular white paper, and write your emotions on the paper and take it to a pond or an ocean. If you ain't able to get to a pond or ocean, get some dissolvable paper. And if you can't afford dissolvable paper, get some toilet paper. Write on it and put it in water and watch it, flush it.
Flush it.
Flush it. I said, or write on a piece of paper and just crinkle it up and throw it away.
Yeah.
So those are some techniques that we can do. Also, washing your hair. If you have the ability to put on a little bit of makeup or wear your favorite fragrance, and I tell this to the men also, looking good or looking presentable will make you feel good about yourself.
Absolutely.
So those are some of the small things that we can do. Listening to music. And in the African American culture, we love music. Music is like a lifeline to us. It does something to us when we listen to good music. Any music of any kind.
Yeah.
So listen to music, dance. Dance cost you a dime. You can dance in, in your bedroom, in your living room, wherever, and just dance.
That's
Um,
amazing.
Out in the park doesn't cost anything. Dancing in the rain, walking while the rain, because I know some people love the rain. It feels like it just washes away their sorrows or their worries. Wait till there's a nice rainstorm and take a walk.
I used to walk in the rain to hide my tears.
It's good. Rain is therapeutic. Just the sound of it. It's just
Yeah.
very therapeutic, and it doesn't cost a dime.
Yeah. Yeah. Ooh, this is rich. Oh my goodness. Oh my God. You are blessing some people in here. Gosh. So let's talk a little bit about, because our time is winding up.
Okay.
You touched on a lot of good stuff, and people, you can go back and watch the replay, or you can listen to the replay. It's on the radio every Friday, but I'll give you all of that at the end. But give us some of the strategies that healthcare workers are using, or have used or continue to use as a result of the pandemic, and how people are flowing through. Even though it seems like we're opening up, I believe there's going to be another shutdown, but that's just me. How are they dealing with the mental health, navigating the mental health in the pandemic? And I know you said there were limited appointments, but I know they can do virtual appointments, but provide that resource or that information for people in this hour.
Support groups. Is one, when clinicians are not able to meet individually with clients, they will then suggest a support component where you are in a group of your peers, and you're able to discuss some of the similar challenges that you're facing. But if you don't feel comfortable in a group atmosphere, I would say begin to develop a support system. That could be in your church. If you have a church, if you have friends, if you have family, just have at least one person that's a trusted individual that you can go to and talk to when you're having challenges. And sometimes we have to go outside of our social circle to get that help that we need. But I always encourage my clients to have at least one person. Write that person's name down and put it on your refrigerator, or put it on your bathroom mirror, put it somewhere where it's accessible. But just have that one person, because community provides you with a sense of belonging. It empowers you. It gives you the confidence to go another day. And having a sense of community is just powerful. It's powerful in so many ways. So just having that one person to go to when you're struggling, support groups, some things that you can do. What I'm telling my clients is I'm empowering them with coping mechanisms, healthy coping mechanisms, and one of them is breathing. We have the ability to bring our stress and our anxieties levels down just by virtue of being mindful of how we breathe. Because when we're upset, we don't breathe.
Nope.
So when we don't breathe, there's no oxygen flowing through our bodies and this and that. So we begin to shut down and tense up. And that just makes matters worse. So I'm teaching my clients how to slow down and breathe. And then there's also a technique called mindfulness.
Yep.
So when you engage in these coping mechanisms, such as getting your favorite fragrance or eating your favorite food, I want you to be mindful in the moment. I want you to practice gratitude, that you can even have that short period of time for yourself to enjoy that food or that bath or that walk. So those are some of the things. Journaling, writing out what you feel, putting your feelings on paper.
This is so good.
And just going back, sometimes you don't always have to go back and read it until you're ready, but it will let you know what's going on with you before, during, and after. Yeah. So when we know the before, we can put some preventatives in place, and during, so that we can empower you to begin to continue your process of taking care of yourself. And then the after is what I call the preventative plan. How are we going to prevent you from going through this whole cycle again? How, and sometimes relapse happens. You
Yeah.
know, mental health relapse does happen, and then we have to go back to square one. But let's come up with a plan, and the only way we can tailor a plan that's for you, customized especially for you, is if we know what your triggers are before, during, and after.
Absolutely. This has been so rich, my sister. I promise you, it has been. We really need like 3 hours to, break down all of these different things. Ladies and gentlemen, we have been talking with today's guest, Miss Reantle Smith, who is a licensed mental social social worker. I'm sorry if I didn't mean to mess that up. If you want to reach out to her, you can certainly send her an email at Reantle M. Smith. That's REANTLEM Smith at yahoo.com. And ladies, she is holding an event on Sunday, July the 18th at 12:30 p.m. via Zoom. It is free on Eventbrite. It is called Virtual Sister Soul Circle Rejuvenation Series, part number 3. You do not want to miss it. If you have any questions, you want to know more about it, email her at Soul Sister. That's SOULSISTAH circle at gmail.com. Once again, that is Soul Sister with an H circle at gmail.com. You don't want to miss this, ladies. Once again, July 18th at 12:30 p.m. via Zoom, a free virtual sister soul circle rejuvenation series is part 3. You can find it on Eventbrite. It is free. Go ahead and get yourself free. Go ahead and get yourself some good girlfriends and have a good time virtually, chat and chew and talk about life and help one another out. Amen. Amen. And for those of you out there, just want to remind you of the new book that I've just released called In Recovery, Rising from the Ruins. Get a copy today for $15. Email me at Michele at iam-mij.com. That is MICHELE at IAM-MIJ.com. And if you are a military veteran or military spouse, I'm looking for co-authors for my newest book that's coming out on Veterans Day. It's called Boots and Beyond. So if you know of any military veterans, military spouses, ma'am, sir, I'm looking for co-authors for my new book that is being released on Veterans Day, November 11th, 2021. Please email me again at Michele at iam-mij.com. That is MICHELE at iam-mij.com. I'm looking for authors. We're going to start the process in a couple of weeks. And so if you're interested, please reach out, ma'am and sir. And you can also watch this show on YouTube at Life Matters with Michele TV Official. That is Life Matters with Michele TV Official. It's up an hour or so, a little after the show runs. And then you can also listen to it. Listen while you're sitting at home or on your phone on sensationalsoundsradio.net every Friday at 4:00 p.m. That's a lot, isn't it? It's just doing a lot. And if you'd like to be a guest, certainly you can reach out to me on my website, which is www.iam-mij.com/contact us. I am now scheduling guests for November and December. We are in season 3 and we are booked up until that time. So if you want to be a guest, please, ma'am, please, sir, reach out to me and we will get you on the show. Once again, my friends, we are talking to none other than Miss Reantle Smith, an amazing social worker who has a passion for the people and their mental health. Give us a few closing words, my dear, for the people, some final thoughts.
I just want to tell everyone that help is available. When you seek help, I just encourage you to get help. If you are at a place where you are struggling and you need an ear or a shoulder, seek help. Just talk to someone. Do not feel like you can struggle through this alone, because you're not alone. You're not alone. There are some resources out there. Anyone who is having suicidal thoughts or anything like that, reach out to the suicide hotline. There's SAMHSA that addresses mental health. We have mobile crisis. If you know a child that is having behavioral or psychological distress, we have hotlines for veterans, those that are suffering with post-traumatic stress disorder or anything of that nature. And then we have NAMI, which is the National Association, the National Mental Health Institute. So if you know of someone or even yourself who is going through a mental health challenge, I encourage you to reach out for help because it is available. And you have my email address. Send me
Yes.
an email if you need a resource or a referral.
Yes, yes, yes. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you, my dear sister. It has been an amazing experience having you on the show on today.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Reantle Smith, please email her at REAN as in Nancy, T as in Tom, LE, the letter M, Smith at yahoo.com. And she can provide you with some resources. I know people don't always like to tell what they're going through in the open forum. So sometimes email is sometimes our first line of defense or our first line of contact. And so, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to speak with her or you want to get some resources that will help you in your time of need, please send an email to her at REANTLEM Smith at yahoo.com. Thank you again, my dear sister, for chiming in and for being a part of this amazing day. And don't go anywhere. We're going to chit chat afterwards. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning into Life Matters, because this is where we talk about what matters to you. You all have a blessed week, and we'll talk to you again real soon. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.